Please forgive the face paint. I'm out hunting right now. And I just saw something in the woods that I've only seen a couple times in my life. It's quite rare of an event. And it left an interesting track in the snow. So I'd like to use this as an opportunity to start what I hope is going to be a small series of tracking mystery videos, where you can come along on a tracking journey, see something that would be pretty difficult to identify usually, and see if you can figure out the story behind the tracks. So I was hoping to start with something that was a little bit simpler. This one is rather challenging, but why don't you come along and see if you can figure out what it is. First, the overall setting. We're in a mixed hardwood forest in a valley here in Wisconsin. It's winter, and that's going to already limit some of the creatures that we would find out here. I've been tracking this creature for a little while, and let's look at a few of its tracks. Here's the tracks leading up to the tree. When it gets to the tree, notice right there under some of the freshly fallen snow are pieces of bark that very recently have come off of this ironwood. Here again are tracks that go directly up to a tree. And here's a lot of activity going on. If you figured out that we're looking at a squirrel, you're correct. But here's where things get interesting. I saw the squirrel come down here. And it went up this tree. Now squirrels, of course, can dance up there in the canopy. But here's the next thing that we see. Here's this mark, and I'm going to go and get a little bit closer for you. From this vantage, we can start to see that something unusual is going on. So there is the track I'm talking about, and you can see the rest of the snow up here is pristine. So there was no movement by an animal in that direction. To the right, you do see another mark. And let's go take a closer look. So there's that large mark again. And here's the squirrel's tracks, bounds. You can see them go down through here. And all the way down to where they go up that tree. You can probably see that mark right there in the tree, where the squirrel hit the bark and started to go up. The mystery is right here. Why do we have a bound mark, and this big pluff? Now the squirrels this time of the year are digging all over the place, so this wouldn't look that unusual. But to make this mark, especially with all that pristine snow up around it, the squirrel would have had to bound, dig, and then bound back precisely in its own tracks. Possible, but unusual. Here's one of those tracks. It's snowed on it a little bit because it's snowing a fair amount here, but you can see they're pretty clean. Here's a closer look at this unusual mark. Any guesses what happened here? Remember, pristine snow. here's this rather large mark that doesn't actually have a lot of digging evidence, as you saw in some of the earlier squirrel marks. And then these bounds down the hill to the tree. If you think you know what happened here, write it in the comments. And if you don't know what happened, I'm going to give you the solution right now. I was up on the hill and tracking this squirrel down through the woods. And it was way up in this tree, and I saw what looked like a branch fall from the tree. As I watched the branch fall through the air, I realized about halfway down that it had a tail. And the squirrel landed with a thud right here. Took about a second to shake off the impact, and then jumped down and climbed up that tree. Very unusual to actually witness a squirrel falling out of a tree. It does happen, and I bet some of you have your own stories about squirrel tree falls that you've witnessed. It's it's rather humorous in a way. They're such agile creatures. So it's nice to see, you know, when we compare ourselves as clumsy humans, that once in a while a squirrel can actually mess up. So this was a really neat track in that it would have confused me if I hadn't seen the squirrel fall and land, because it just track, boom, what happened? It's really neat to find those mysterious tracks in otherwise clean snow. I'm going to take us down here to have a look at where this squirrel jumped onto the side of the tree. I think you might find that interesting. If you excuse my little snowball there, here's the last bound, and there you can see where the squirrel landed up against the tree, dug in those claws, and went straight up. Amazing animals. Thanks for watching. I'll try to get more of these tracking mysteries throughout the winter, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit and you can test your tracking and mystery solving skills. See you soon.